We want to welcome everyone out to the last session this morning, and it's been wonderful content. Everything from as soon as we got here this morning, I think everything's flowing in sync with what God has for us this week, and I'm excited. My name is Jacob Sullivan. I am the First Impressions Director here at First Apostolic Church. I serve along with my wife. We help in different capacities, but we help here with First Impressions team.
My name is Nick Johnstone, and I am the Connect team leader, and we'll be talking today about the Fit and Connect teams.
I want to start with a story. How many has a story about first impressions? Whether it's a hotel, whether it's a restaurant, there's a lot of capacities that we go and we gauge a lot of things about first impressions. And, you know, the powerful aspect about first impressions is oftentimes it really sways us and guides us on whether or not we will go back to that place, or if we become an advocate for it. So if we have a great impression, it becomes a word of mouth. And so it's very powerful. Probably around 2 months ago, my wife and I, we got the idea that, you know, we felt like we needed more room in the trunk of our car. So we went and was looking at different vehicles. And so we were looking online, and we found this, I feel like a reputable dealership. And so it's like, hey, let's go as maybe a Thursday afternoon. And so we went, and you know, when we pull into the dealership, I noticed immediately that, you know, there was nobody there. There was no one outside. When we got there, it was, to me, there was no directions. I didn't really know where to park. And, you know, once I got out, I was just, again, waiting for somebody to come out and greet me. Nobody did. And then I look around, and they didn't have the vehicle that we were looking for. And so I go on inside, and there was a lady there to greet me at the reception desk. And as I walked in, you know, there was no hospitality whatsoever. And she just, you know, finished what she was doing, looks up, how can I help you? So I asked her, you know, I'm looking for this vehicle. And she's like, well, I don't know if we have it. So she turns around, and there's a guy behind her, and she asked him, hey, do we have this particular vehicle? No, we don't. And she turns around and says, we don't have it. And I said, thank you. There was nothing beyond that. And she immediately went right back to her computer and began to work. And I turned around, and before I even hit the road to go back home, I decided that I would never come back to that dealership. And I would venture to say that was about a 3 to 5 minute time frame from the time I pulled in to the time I pulled out. And when you research and you look at it statistically, that is about the same amount of time that people make up in their mind whether or not they will come back to your church. And we've heard, you know, all morning about how important it is, first impressions. Something that there was nothing present. There was no hospitality in any way. There were no signs or directions at all. They didn't have what I needed. There was no warm affection or attempt to connect with the customer. Their marketing strategies were very low priority. And I honestly felt like I was an inconvenience to them. Again, we have to be diligent. If that stat is true, I believe that first impressions is one of the most important aspects of what we do time in and time out at church. I believe we have to have the top priority. Think about this. If that is true, then before the first song is sung and before the dynamic anointed word of God goes forth, in most cases, people have already made up their mind whether or not they're going to go back. And if that's true, then we've got to make sure that we have a strategic plan in place at our churches. Can we all agree that people stay where they feel welcomed? They stay and enjoy places and people who help them feel a tremendous sense of ease and feeling embraced. This is the first transferable truth of the spirit and essence of hospitality. I believe hospitality truly is a spirit. I believe it's God's spirit. I believe it's something that we have to, again, be strategic with. At FAC Maryville, our First Impressions team, we are an extension of the heartbeat of our pastor, Pastor Kenneth Carpenter. You know, he often says, hey, I can't go and greet everyone's hand. I can't go and make that first impression, but you can. And so we take it upon ourselves. We are the extension of that ministry, and we take it very serious here. And that's something, again, that I feel that we are a front line of ministry. I believe that it is essential that we get it right. We have a process called from the journey to the parking lot, okay, from the parking lot to the pew. So something that we do here at FAC is we have a member of our parking and valet team that is, as you've seen yesterday evening as you come, we have somebody that is greeting them at the road as they enter. And we have this sign that says, first-time guests, turn your hazard on, because, again, you got a lot of people rolling up on your campus, and so we want to distinguish guests. And so when they turn their flashers on, they will then, of course, our parking and valet team member, they greet everyone, and then they will engage them right there. And so again, from there, they're getting their name. Hey, it's so awesome that you're here with us. And then they will radio in the name of that individual, and of course, they will point them to our guest parking area. And by the time they get to the guest parking area, we have someone else that's able to greet them there. And so by the time, it's very important to be personable. And so that second individual, that second layer of hospitality, they're greeting them by name. I think it's very important that we greet them by name to make them feel welcome. And so from there, that person helps to lead them into our next layer of first impressions, which is our greeters and hostesses that are inside the outer lobby there. And what they do is, again, they're engaging them. Something that they do, and I think is very important, is to just be aware. Again, if they have children, let them know what your children ministries are. Help direct them if it's, whether it's check-in, whatever the case is, nursery. Just make sure that they have a good sense of like where to go. Show them where the restrooms are. It's practical things that, again, we're tearing down walls that first-time guests have. And so again, from there, they help them get seated in here to the sanctuary. And so they're trying to get some brief information, and in that information, they're getting a name, and something that, again, we'll go in deeper detail. We are letting them know. So we have 6 sections here. So if one of our hostesses brings in a guest, and they will say, Robinson family seating in section 5, midway. And so that information immediately, when they enter that into the system, will immediately go to the Connect team, which Brother Johnstone will talk about. And so from there, that's when that information, again, the first impressions, that information will be given to Brother Johnstone and his team, and it goes on further. And he's going to talk about that. Something to keep in mind when building a sustainable hospitality ministry is that we must first appeal to their emotions. Again, people, they want to feel welcomed. I think one of the most basic needs of all humanity is to feel welcome, is to feel loved and to feel needed. And I think that's something that is very important, to appeal to the emotions of who they are. Now, their mind's going to be touched by the Word of God. Their mind's going to be touched when that first song is sung and God's Spirit comes in. But we got to touch them with their emotions, and it's just practical. It's smiling faces. It's letting them know how awesome it is to see them, and how awesome it is that they have decided to come to your local assembly. Our motto here is welcome home. That's something that we take very seriously. Every single person here, welcome home. You are welcome here. And so that is something that we drive home to all of our members, is that we have this hospitable spirit of simply welcome home. I want to leave you with some practical tips to help us succeed as first impressions. First is, see this ministry as an essential element to soul winning. The fact that they are coming upon your campus. You didn't have to run out and door knock or anything. They're there on your campus. See it as soul winning. And I think when you do that, and you see this as you know, God sent them to you. My goodness, God sent them there. So that is soul winning. Engage, engage, engage. I know Pastor preached a marvelous message last night about engaging. We've got to go and we've got to be proactive and engage them. Soft skills, I think that's something very important. People skills. Being able to shake a hand, you know, look them in the eye, smile, and be genuine when doing it. I think soft skills, able to clearly communicate and articulate a hospitable spirit is very important. Help guide them again as they enter the building. People have needs. Again, as we engage, and we'll go deeper with the ministry of the Connect. And then last, come bearing gifts. Have a good gift to give to them. Put some effort and time into that gift and make them feel special. And if we do that, I think that first layer of first impressions will make a lasting impact. And I'm so thankful for Brother Nick Johnstone, as Pastor Erickson talked about. But before that ministry was even created, he was doing these things on his own because he gets it. And he comes on and he sees the souls that comes on here, and he created the Connect team. Everybody put your hands together for Brother Nick Johnstone.
Thank you, Brother Sullivan. And it's truly a privilege to work with Brother and Sister Sullivan and the FIT team, the entire FIT team. We have an absolutely incredible First Impressions team here at First Apostolic Church, and most of you got to experience that this week. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is our Connect team. And whether you know it or not or understand this, every Sunday there is a process transpiring behind the scenes of connecting our guests to the ministries of our local church. How many of you have multiple ministries at your church? Raise your hand. And so I would ask you today, how are you connecting people to those ministries? That process is transpiring every single Sunday, and we have an opportunity every time the church doors open and guests or new members come to our church to get them connected. And so today we want to focus specifically. He's taking care of the FIT piece, but once FIT's done, we want to focus for the next few moments on the Connect piece. And I want to share with you our mission statement as a Connect team. I'm going to share with you also our Sunday morning process flow, what my team does, kind of what we go through. And then I'll share with you too some of the tools that we use that make our mission possible and make it easier. The guys that were up here before us, we have an incredible technology team here at FAC, and they're constantly driving us to be better. And I love using technology, and we're always tweaking things. So the first thing that happens is Brother Sullivan relayed to us, the FIT team greets them. And if your church doesn't have a great visitor information gathering system, greeting card, I would encourage you to make it electronic. This isn't a plug for the Church Center app, but it works really well. All of our FIT team members have the Church Center app on their phone. You had an opportunity to learn about that last night with Sister Sullivan out in the Movement Social. If you didn't get with her before the week's out. That is an incredible tool for gathering our guest information because we're building a database. And when someone shows up here, pastor texts me on a Tuesday and says, do you know this name? Or we're sitting in a meeting and a name comes up. Sister Sullivan's got her laptop right there. She can pull it up in the system. She goes, yeah, they were here 2 weeks ago. They checked their kids into Kids Quest. Here's their phone number. Here's their email address. We have all of that at our fingertips because we have a guest registration system that collects all their data and keeps it for us. It's super important. So when that gets entered by a FIT team member, everybody that's on the Connect team who's on staff that morning, who's on the schedule that morning, we get an email. And that email is in your Dropbox that's on the QR code. You'll find that in there. That you'll see an example. It was a perfect example. That's why I threw it in there. Brother Kenny, who works with our recovery ministry, they go to the recovery houses and they pick men up at the recovery houses in vans. And these guys are on it. You want to talk about FIT team professionals. When those new guys get in the van that they don't recognize, they immediately get their phone over there. They start collecting their information. And I'm getting emails before the van ever gets in the parking lot. I know who's coming brand new from the recovery houses. And so Brother King does a great job. He puts their name in there. A lot of the men who come into the recovery houses that we pick them up from don't live in our city. Some of them are from your states. They're from states surrounding us. And so we already know when they get here where they're coming from. And it gives us the ability, and we're working on this feverishly behind the scenes, to get them connected when they leave the house and they go back home to Johnson City and they go back home to South Carolina and North Carolina, that we can connect them with a network of churches. Because Paul said it this way: some sow, some water, God gives the increase. We might only be a sowing or a watering operation here at FAC for that individual. God may reap a harvest at your church in their lives. So once we get that email, and you'll see what that email looks like in your Dropbox, now my team is armed with their name. We know where they're from. We know a little bit of information about them. We know whether they're interested in a home Bible study. And best of all, we know where they're sitting at. So Brother Sullivan touched on this, but you ought to have your sanctuary, however it's broken up, however small it is, whatever, have it broken down. This is section 1 over here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When we're communicating in that holy text on Sunday morning that Pastor referenced, I'm texting Pastor and saying, hey, there's some really important guests in section 2, and then we label it A, B, C. He knows that there's a brand new family that wants to make FAC their church home in section 2, area B. So when he's up here preaching, or he's up here taking up the offering, or he's doing prayer requests, he now can glance, okay, there they are right there, and he knows where to go after service. And so my team gets armed with that info. Once they have that info, now they will casually, nobody makes a beeline for anybody, but they will casually make their way over to that guest. And when I get there, I can say, hey, Jacob, I'm Nick. So glad you're here today. I understand you live in Maryville. Yeah, how long have you lived here? Where do your kids go to school? I've got all these conversation starters just from our guest information. I also know, hey, I saw that you were interested in home Bible study, or you checked you're interested in youth ministry. Could I introduce you to our youth pastor? Hey, come with me. I want to take you down and introduce you to Pastor and Sister Hammond. They'd love to meet your kids. I'm making connection. These aren't cold touches. They're warm touches that started with the fit team and they end with us. So we're also gauging. We're gauging these individuals. If somebody's cold, if I go over there like, hi, Jacob, my name's Nick, and so glad you're here today. He's like, oh, yeah. I'm probably not going to push that guy. I'm going to be gracious to him. I'm going to welcome him. I'm going to thank him for being here. I'm going to ask him if there's anything we can do for him. And then I'm just going to hope that they come back next week and that the anointing and the power of God through pastors preaching and our anointed worship pricks their heart, tears down the walls, and God does a work in their life. I'm not going to force anybody. But if it's a warm lead, and when I go over there, Jacob's like, man, we've been watching online and we're so excited to be here today and we can't wait to experience service, and man, this is just feels so welcome here. That's what I'm going to be like, man, I'd love to get to know more about you. Would you come with me to welcome home today? We got snacks over there. You can meet the pastoral team. And when service is over, I'm going to go make a beeline for them. And I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, those people are waiting on me at their pew because they're waiting for me to go walk them over to welcome home. They're excited about it. Generate some excitement about your guest program. Generate excitement about your Next Steps program. If you're like, hey, we have this program, if you'd like to come, you could. Would you follow someone to that? But if you're like, oh, we want to get you connected. If this is your home church, we want you to get connected. We want you to get involved in ministries here. We want you to be a part, to feel a part of this. I need you to get to Welcome Home, because in Welcome Home, you're going to get to see our processes. You're going to get to learn about the church, and then we're going to learn about you. Every Welcome Home, they introduce themselves. They tell them where they're from, and we get to learn about each other. That's what the Welcome Home process is. So that's our process flow on Sunday morning. Now, one other thing that we do is I instruct my team, and we're training and we're working. We stay in the sanctuary. My team doesn't leave the sanctuary. And we are just casually moving through the crowd. And if I'm headed for this guy in the white shirt over here in the 3rd row of section 3, I'm going to stop and I'm going to shake the young man's hand in the blue blazer. I'm probably going to shake the young lady's hand in the pink dress, and then I'm going to get to him, because he's going to feel like, first of all, I'm not making a beeline for him, but I'm moving around. And I will tell you that as my team is moving through casually through the congregation, greeting everybody, not just our guests, we're collecting information. Pastor mentioned that email that I send him on Monday mornings. It goes to the entire pastoral staff. We're collecting information. It gets back to me. Someone texts me and says, hey, I touched base with so-and-so today and they're kind of upset about this. Boom, that goes in the email. Pastor, hey, we connected with this individual today. They're upset that there's not enough daycare. They're upset that they had to park in a non-parking spot today. And we're just communicating, but it makes them aware. And so this Connect team is about our guest, but it's also about the body of Christ. It's about helping people stay connected. I have people that chase me down. They're like, I really want to be involved in the Keepers of the House ministry. As our Connect team leader, I'll go take them over and introduce them to the director of the Keepers of the House so that they can get connected and know what it is that they need to do to be involved in ministries here. So just quickly, in the last minute here, I'll share with you these tools. In your Dropbox, there is a guest flow chart. We created that. It's similar to the flow chart that Pastor created, but we have that guest flow chart where we know what a process a guest needs to go through when they come to FAC for the first time, getting them into a Bible study, getting them connected with friends. You'll see that email in there. And then the last piece that I'll share with you is we have a Telegram channel. It's called the FAC Guest Portal. It's live on Sunday mornings. That's the holy text. And everybody knows what's going on. People know the guests in the building. People are texting me, hey, there's a brand new guest over in this section. Can you go introduce yourself to him? Pastors text me, who's on the front row this morning? Who is that? And we're just communicating. So get a channel set up that your team, your fit team, your Connect team can work through. And then if you have any more questions about how to set this up and how we can do this, Brother Sullivan and I will both be out at a table tomorrow night at the Movement Social, and we would love to answer all your questions and help you get as much information as you possibly can. God bless you.